going to be a very, very intense journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Frame Skip Podcast. Playing it fast and loose this week. No BS, no frills. I'm Seth Lakehouse with Andie Eller and George Loftus. Gentlemen, how are we doing this week?
Woo! That's how I'm doing.
Yeah. B plus.
B plus?
Yeah, B plus.
What's holding you back from the A?
The limitations of my own body and the slow march of time.
And gravity as well is really holding me back.
Gravity's a big fuck you lately. Yeah.
Let me tell you something,
Not
George,
the movie.
right?
Not the movie. Just to be clear.
Higher standards for yourself. All right. I wake up at 3 a.m. every day. I run a 28-hour day. You know how I do that? By working 4 hours harder than everybody else.
Okay. Yeah.
I like this.
I love this new era of motivational speakers, right? Where they're just like, they say the most ridiculous nonsense. Like, you know what's harder than making $1 million? $100,000.
Oh my Lord. Well, I'm glad to know that you're doing that, Seth. That's great. I'm glad to hear that you're doing that because not all of us are strong enough for that kind of mental, fortitude that you've got there.
But
I mean, I did send you guys the video of Conor McGregor hitting the punching machine, and with proof that I scored at least 50 points higher than him.
You did do that.
Hey, is Conor McGregor a champion only because I didn't step into the ring? Maybe. It's a conversation to be had at this point. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I hit one of those things, I'd probably get like a 5 out of like several hundred or whatever it is. So maybe I could like hit my head against it. Maybe I could do that.
I really want to go back and like just mess with it, but it's $1 per punch, and
yikes, dude, that's expensive.
Yeah, I know, but it's worth it, man. It's really fun. It's fun to just crack something as hard as you can, just yeah, it's good stuff. Awesome. How are you been, buddy?
I'm good. With you? I'm good. Nothing really too new going on, just kind of hanging in there. It's been a busy few weeks at the office, so looking forward to wrapping up this year, getting to the Christmas season, giving some gifts. Receiving some gifts for sure. Looking forward to that.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's going good. Hanging in there. I put up a video on the Frameskip channel that I'm really proud of. The Godzilla -1 review, which has been absolutely blowing up.
It did really good.
Yeah.
What's the hit count now?
It's at like 3,500 views.
Damn, guy. Look at you.
Yeah. So I'm really happy with that, and we'll certainly continue to make videos on the Frameskip channel moving forward. But yeah, that kind of took up some of my time last week, was jumping back into that, and I'm excited. It's been years since I've put out like a video like that. I mean, I think the last time was on my own personal channel, probably like 6 years ago at this point. So
yeah, I think every time we've done individual content for the channel like that, it's done pretty well. I think that it's definitely something we should pursue. It just takes a little more effort than like time. The podcast. Yeah, it does. I really enjoy making content like that. It's just I despise editing down to like my very core of my soul.
That's the thing. I love it.
Yeah. It's like in a past life, I was tortured to death by editing, and then there's like an absolute repulsion from it. It's just like can't do it. Not my thing. So. All right. Well, before we jump into the main meat and potatoes of the show, let's answer a question from Alden. First things first. Wait, was this the question from Alden, or was what you typed, Austin?
This
Okay.
is the question from Alden.
Okay. Thank you for directing the show, Alden. Before you get rolling on your planned topics, have you guys heard about the completionist charity fraud accusations and thoughts, please? Pedro has been having some spicy takes. So I haven't actually talked to Pedro about this too much because he's been getting very angry about this, and he texted me the other day about it, and all I said was, "Yeah, I'm following this situation too, haha." And then I went and saw his Twitter feed, and I was like, "Wow,
He's been going hard on Twitter on this.
You really are passionate about this."
Yes.
My take is that I'm not an accountant, but I find it suspect at the very least, right? Like, from what I understand, he sat on these funds for 10 years, was interviewed and told about what's going on and asked, and he confirmed that they haven't donated the money, then continued to do more charity streams where he said they donated the money. And then it was only after they got called out that immediately he's like, "Oh, we donated it." And I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't pass the smell test, you know? If this was a thing of milk and I smelled it, wouldn't be drinking it.
I'm
a little funky.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really kept up with this. I mean, I kind of understood the original situation, but I know there was that development this past week or two where he came out and was like, "No, we donated everything, and here are the receipts."
Yeah.
But I haven't really looked into that, so I don't. Frankly, I don't want to comment on it because I really don't know. Just from my viewpoint, how I feel about it, from just a lack of knowledge, from pure ignorance standpoint. But it is interesting to say the least.
I watched the apology video from that guy. I'm not like the biggest completionist fan. I feel like a lot of YouTubers are just kind of like various Tumblr pages come to life, and I don't love that. I really like the more subtle, discreet ones. And like I don't count us with that because like we're not like, I know this is on YouTube, but like we're not like YouTube content creators. It's really just like a hosting platform. But like the amount of people who just like try to make jokes, I'm like, man, you're just like fucking not funny. Like just shut up and just like talk about this 32-year-old video game that I'm kind of interested in hearing about. That's like why I'm here. I watched his apology video without like fully understanding it because I guess it all stemmed from like a tweet, right? That some random dude threw where he was just kind of like exploring tax documents, I guess, for whatever reason you do on a Sunday.
It wasn't a tweet. He made like a 15-minute video like going over this, and then he interviewed the completionist himself in a call and explained what he found, and the completionist confirmed that like, yeah, he knew that they hadn't donated it yet. And then that's kind of where it went.
I don't know. I'm sympathetic towards the dude based on his apology video, but like calling it an apology video seems like too generic. Like his explanation video, but like I've also never had that amount of money, and like it does seem kind of scary to like, hey, how do you want to spend? It was like what, like $600,000 or something.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, how do you want to spend this money? It's like, it's a lot of fucking money. That's like everything we've raised ever, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm sympathetic to the idea of like being cautious and making sure it goes to a good cause, because like a lot of charities and like a lot of foundations do a really good job of paying themselves, but not a great job of, I guess, like putting their donated funds to good use. So I understand the caution, but at the same time, like that really just kind of makes the completionist seem like one of those people who, like, you know, you donate money to and like you don't know if it goes to a good cause. I don't know. It involves like a dead parent, so like I'm trying to be like sensitive because like this is obviously something that what is important to him.
Yeah, I think the things that he has going in his favor for me are like, it wasn't his personal account, right? He had all this money in the charity account, and I don't understand what the fraud allegations would be, right? It's like, you can't really do anything with it that benefits you at that point. So, but also on the other hand, I'm like, why didn't you just donate it, man? Like, why did it take you getting called out to donate it right after that? But again, like, I'm not an accountant. Maybe there was some sort of like fraud loophole he could have pulled, but I don't know about it, you know?
That's the only thing I'll say is like, just from a, you know, logistical standpoint, it's weird that, you know, these allegations came out that he didn't donate the money, which apparently was true, right?
Yeah.
Like that was pretty much confirmed that he did not. Has now, but like what was the point of holding on to the money if you were going to donate it anyway and not spend it? I don't know. Maybe he was spending it and he, you know, took some money out of his personal finance to make up for the rest, but at that point it's like, what? I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation. It doesn't really. I kind of agree with you, Seth. Like something doesn't totally seem right, but at the same time, I'm like, at the end of the day, I guess he did donate it. So it's just why did it take somebody calling you out?
It's that I also like I don't know enough about charity work. Like I do volunteer stuff, but like it's clearly not like the same thing as this. Like I don't know the difference between giving, because he does these fundraisers like once a year, twice a year, whatever it is. And this is going back a while, so like I don't know the difference in like significant pushes that you could make in the field that he wanted to study, because it was like something related with dementia, right? For his mother.
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
If there's a difference between giving $40,000 one year and $600,000 every couple years, like I don't know, you know, like if that is more significant for research and for like actually like moving the needle, like I'm not qualified to say that. So
yeah,
I don't know, but I mean, it seems like he actually donated, so maybe everyone can get off his dick. I don't know.
Well, as far as I understand, he is getting audited. There's made enough waves he's getting audited. So, I mean, that'll come up, you know, with whatever it needs. So I don't know. It seems like honestly, man. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's I never paid attention to the completionist before. I didn't pay attention to him when he was on G4. I don't care now either. You know, it's like I hope he's doing something good with the money, but I'm not like a completionist fan or anything.
I don't disagree with you.
And it doesn't seem to me like, from my very, very limited knowledge of like finance, that he could have done anything with the money anyway that was, you know, egregious. But like I said, maybe there could have been some loophole. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, now that negative Nancy topic is out of the way, thanks, Alden. Austin, what have you been up to these past 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't remember how long it's been since we recorded a podcast.
I don't even know.
It's 2 weeks.
I know I think it's only been 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been a month. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm trying to think exactly what all I've had going on. I don't think I had done this before the last episode. I know I had beaten Alan Wake 2, but I went back and platinumed Alan Wake 2. I don't think I had done that before the previous episode of the podcast. So I did that. And then frankly, I kind of got burned out a little bit from games. Like I don't know, after rushing through Spider-Man 2, you know, pounding that out like in a week, getting that platinum, and then immediately jumping into Alan Wake 2, I just kind of needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started playing Alan Wake 1 Remastered, and I think I mentioned that on the last episode, but it's not the right time for that for me. You know, after going through a bunch of story-based games in a row, it wasn't working for me. I don't think it was necessarily the game, it was just the mood I was in. So, you guys are going to find this very amusing. After some discussion with coworkers about this game, I decided to download Fortnite.
Ooh,
dude, nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, the original or the new Lego one?
Well, it's all in the same. It's like all the same thing. Yeah. So it's all, when you download Fortnite, the Lego stuff, the new Rocket League racing game, and the new rhythm game that is made by Harmonix, it's all in the same download. So it's all just in base Fortnite now. But that was part of why I downloaded it. So they announced, and it's all out now, there are 3 new basically standalone games running off Unreal Engine 5 that are within the Fortnite launcher. One of them is a Lego Fortnite game, which is essentially like a Valheim, like Minecraft style survivor game set in like a Lego world where you're running around like collecting food and wood and crafting pickaxes. And, you know, if you've ever played a survival game, you kind of know the ordeal. But they released that. They released a Psyonix, the developers of Rocket League. They released a racing game using the Rocket League cars and like kind of set in that universe. Also, standalone game within Fortnite. And then finally, Harmonix, who made Rock Band, released a rhythm game that is straight up Rock Band, has real licensed music within the Fortnite engine. And so they released all this stuff this past week. I'm not exactly sure why, because I'm still totally new to this game. I don't know why all that released all of a sudden. But that was kind of what drew me into it, was seeing all that was coming. And so I've been messing around with all those modes. I'd say the rhythm one is the one I've messed with the least. But the Lego mode, Andie and I have been playing a ton of together. She's a big like Minecraft person, and so we've really enjoyed playing that together. One of my favorite things, by the way, about that is that you can create a server, like a save, and the host of the game doesn't have to be online for other people to log on and play on that server and like continue building up the world. Okay. And so it's pretty nice because like we'll play together, but you know, I may jump off and go do something else. She can continue playing on my save on her Switch. She's actually doing it right now. She's on our save that technically I made on my PS5. So really cool. I wish every survival game did that. It's a really nice little feature. And the rocket racing game is awesome. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't really played a racing game in a while, and that one's kind of scratching the edge. But I will say, finally, my final note here is that aside from all those, I did try jumping into the Battle Royale stuff, which I never really did. I played the game for like maybe 45 minutes, like 4 or 5 years ago when it came out. And it just didn't work for me. The building stuff, kids building these like Empire State Buildings in Fortnite, like while they're fighting simultaneously, that's just a no for me. I just could not do that. So I wasn't a fan, but probably about a year ago now, they added in the no build mode, which is just a straight no frills, like PUBG style battle royale mode. And it's excellent. I really, really like it. So I was kind of shocked. I've kind of turned down Fortnite for years. I've been like, oh, I'm never going to play that. Like, I'm never going to play the game that has Eminem and All Might and Solid Snake all in one game.
Goku.
Peter Griffin now. But I think it's actually a really good game after trying it. I think that the build stuff still just is not for me. I could never play the build battle royale, but the no build stuff I actually really enjoy. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. I just needed something like a palate cleanser, and that game's really been fitting that for me.
Those videos from back in the day where people were just like building staircases up to heaven, basically, while also maintaining like a third-person shooter, just fucking insane. Like I can't believe that was like such a popular game. That was that ridiculous, incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So it's actually funny that you bring this up, because it was probably around a year ago that I downloaded Fortnite on my phone and played it a little bit. And I had I still have the Razer Kishi controller attachment.
Yeah.
And dude, the difference that attachment makes in video games like competitive shooters is disgusting. I mean, I was able to like clean house in Fortnite with that, because other people were using like touch controls and they're so inaccurate and like crappy. But you put a controller on it, I'm like just icing everyone. And I enjoyed what I played of it. What I will say is, it never like, well, there was never a doubt in my mind that Fortnite wasn't good, considering how popular it was.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
At some point, you just have to like give into it. It's just like the nature of Fortnite that it drives me away. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily want to play a game where Peter Griffin is fighting Spider-Man, and I just, the art style of Fortnite is kind of gross to me. Yeah. What I will say is I respect them for just going for it, man. They're like, what else can we add to this bad boy? Like, let's just pack this thing as much as full content as possible. And they're not just adding the skins for these characters. Like, you can launch a Kamehameha wave in Fortnite, or like swing webs with Spider-Man, and like, it's just chaos over there in Fortnite land. And remember, like was it like a year or two ago? They just blew up the whole map in Fortnite. Like they ended it for like 2 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're just having fun over there, like just doing nonsense. I mean, is it out of the realm of possibility that Godzilla shows up in Fortnite? I don't think so.
No, but that's the thing. Like that Fortnite, it sucks because it is like a mechanically sound game. I just think like as a concept, it's become so fucking gross. Like the fact that it is just like a marketing device for all these different brands.
Sure.
There was some news article this week about like someone from Epic being like, "Yeah, we're still working on getting Nintendo stuff someday." And it's like, man, fuck you. Like leave something separate, leave something alone, leave something, just let it be, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I understand that like, it's fundamentally not that different than Smash Brothers. Having Pac-Man and Solid Snake and Captain Falcon and all this shit going on. But like, it is different. And like, I hate to sound like the Supreme Court when defining pornography. It's like, I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it, you know? And there's something different about Mario Kart having Link and having the Animal Crossing villager and Smash Brothers having, I don't know, fucking Joker and Cloud. There's something fundamentally different from that than seeing Peter Griffin fight Aquaman and someone throw a Captain America shield because that was like a free bonus or whatever. You know, like it's just,
or Rick and Morty fighting Black Panther. Like, yeah,
it is different, right? I'm not crazy.
No, I think
it's
absurd. I mean, it's Smash Brothers on drugs to the absolute extreme. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. It is kind of nuts, but I will say, like I said, I think the game actually plays really well. I think at least on PS5, there's like a 120 hertz mode, which is great. Runs at 120 frames, and it's just super smooth. So. But yeah, I don't disagree that the marketing is obviously like the reason it's so popular at this point still is because there are all these characters. And admittedly, like another part of the reason I decided to boot it up is because they announced that Snake is being added next month. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. So I guess I kind of got sucked into the trap too, but I like it so far. First thing I did though was turn off voice chat. So I don't want to hear 6-year-olds on the DualSense that has the mic on automatically. So
that was pretty dangerous, giving every gamer a microphone.
Yes. Yeah. So that's really all I've been up to. You know, like I said, watch Godzilla -1. Go check out my review of that. I did also watch the new Studio Ghibli movie, The Boy and the Heron. I'm gonna have a review coming out on that hopefully within the next couple days. It's
how many emotions did you have after that movie? Like how full of feelings were you?
Pretty full.
Like is it more like Grave of the Fireflies or is it more like My Neighbor Totoro?
Oof. I would put it more akin to Totoro.
Oh, thank God. Okay, cool. That's great news.
Yeah, I mean there's certainly some sad sequences, but I will tell you, and I'll talk about this in my review, but actually the main thing I walked out of that movie feeling, George, was confusion.
Oh.
There's the plot is good, but it wants you to read between the lines a little more than I'd like. There were times where it jumped here and there, and actually both Andy and I were like, I couldn't keep up with what it was trying to say. But I don't know, it's getting stellar reviews, which is interesting, but I still think it's good. It's still worth seeing. So
we were talking about this in our group text the other day, where it's just like, yeah, these fucking old masters come back and still show us what it means to make a movie. Like we were talking about Scorsese and shit.
Yeah.
And how he can shit on Marvel movies all he wants. I don't give a fuck. He's right. He's earned the right to shit on other movies. And I feel like Miyazaki, whether this is his last movie or not, I kind of doubt it is.
I don't think it is.
I think the dude, even though he's 10,000 years old, still has like 2 to 3 more in him. But yeah, just shows up and lets you know what's fucking what. Just drops it on the table, shows it to you, you know?
Am I crazy though? Or did I imagine a story like 5 or 10 years ago that Studio Ghibli had shut down? I swear to God that happened.
They did not shut down. I don't think there was ever any point where they shut down, but Miyazaki 10 years ago when The Wind Rises came out was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing anymore. Then of course we get this movie. But it was they couldn't get anybody to buy or anybody to pick up his work, so they actually sold the studio to a third-party company. That may be what you're thinking of.
Yeah, shit. I remember. I think like Disney was like really trying to get it.
Thank God that did not
they
happen.
They were like, no, that's okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, George, what have you been up to?
I can't remember if I told you guys I platinum Battlefield Bad Company 2, got that done before the servers went down, and I had a great time, man. Like just finding like a bunch of other nerds. It was such a pain in the ass to like log in at the same time and like get placed in the same match. So half the time I'd be with people and we could just like deliberately boost each other to get what we needed to get the platinum. Other times you would just load into a game of like Conquest with like level 50 people who had clearly put hundreds and if not thousands of hours into the game. And then you just play like a legitimate match of Conquest. And it is amazing how much that game holds up all these years later. I had a blast doing that. I also played Mirror's Edge Catalyst because there was 2 online trophies for that.
Yeah.
And so that was also shutting down. I played some of the first Mirror's Edge game. That was like a 360 game back when I was like decided, I want to play more than just shooters. I didn't love it at the time, so I was kind of not looking forward to Mirror's Edge Catalyst, but I didn't want to not be able to get the platinum because I didn't get these 2 trophies. And I'm playing through it now, and like the story's great, the world is great, the movement is a little awkward just because of the controller setup, but like I'm pretty sure I could change that if I really wanted to, but I feel like I just learned what they want me to do, so I'm gonna give it some more time. And I think it's really good. I don't understand why I got shit on so much. Like it really feels like a lot of people being like, yeah, they're kind of sellouts for this fucking second album. Their first album was so much better. Like it feels like that was the criticism for Catalyst. So I might go back and research what the reviews were saying at the time, just to see what people's criticisms really were. But I did that. Play this little indie game called Dredge, where you play as like a little fishing boat in this weird Lovecraftian horror world, and you have to go out, and every movement you do speeds up the clock, and shit gets real dangerous at night.
Interesting.
But it's kind of like in Resident Evil 4, how you had to like rearrange all the items in your suitcase. It's basically that with fish, and you're trying to pay off your debt, so it's a little Animal Crossing, although paying off the debt isn't that tough. And then you can upgrade your boat, and you just hunt this weird shit, and you get slowly braver. It's like a really chill game. If you guys, I don't know if you're like me, where you do just like to have a glass or 4 of wine and sit on the couch and just kind of unwind, but it is a perfect, I don't want to think game. I know you're talking about Fortnite, that's a little bit more social than this is.
I've been playing solo the whole time, aside from the Lego stuff with Andy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that. Also, I grabbed Avatar, and I grabbed Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 so I could play with a buddy who just grabbed it because it's cross-platform, and he just bought an Xbox. He's very excited to get into video games, and he wants to play with me. I was like, no, I really like trophies. I need the platinum. And then I totally forgot that like it doesn't have a platinum trophy. It's just fucking DLC for PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So I immediately regret deleting all these games off my hard drive to make space for it. Also, there needs to be like a Geneva Convention for these video games where like you need to agree about how big your fucking install size is, because like on a 1 terabyte hard drive for your shit to be 160 gigabytes, that's like fucking unfathomable. Like
I feel like
almost 20% of the hard drive. Get the fuck out of here, man. It's ridiculous.
90, 100 is like my absolute limit.
Yeah.
Like moving to 200, that's no. Shrink your game.
How big is Final Fantasy 16? I guarantee that game is better than Modern Warfare 3, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Let me look that up for you, George.
Thanks, buddy. But yeah, I've been playing Avatar. It feels like a Ubisoft game, but it looks like the best Ubisoft game ever. I've only played like an hour or two. I don't want to pretend I'm an expert in this game yet, so I'll have more thoughts and opinions. I assume next week we're just kind of, if not our game of the year, like the games we're still thinking about this time of year that we've been playing throughout the year, like the things that have stuck with us. I think that might be a fun thing to do. Because this game it feels sticky. Like it feels like the kind of thing I will come back to. I don't know if I'm going to like sit there and mainline it and get it done within the next 3 weeks. I highly doubt it. But I could also just picture myself playing this slowly because the controls are simple and universal enough where like it's not like The Witcher where like I had to remember how to play the game. There's not a whole lot to remember with this game, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm excited to spend more time with it.
How do you feel about that franchise in general?
About Avatar?
Yeah.
I think the first movie was amazing. Like a real like, oh shit, this is really cool. Oh, the story. Oh yeah, it's Pocahontas in space. Who gives a fuck? Like it's you'd never seen anything like it before. It actually made a case for 3D movies at the time. I thought, yeah, like even seeing it like in bullshit little Northeast theaters.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. And then I thought Avatar 2 is like probably like one of the worst action movies I've seen in the last like 10 years. I'm so mad at that movie, especially because it was a 3 hour long movie. Drove all the way to an IMAX theater to see it. And there was a movie theater down the street from where we were staying at the time that was playing Babylon. And Babylon, also 3 hours long, and like one of my favorite movies I've seen in the last 20 years. So yeah, I kind of regret everything about Avatar 2.
I almost despise Avatar. I think like
As
I
like
can't.
a hype concept.
I just can't. I didn't like the movie, and then like people wouldn't stop talking about it, and then I just grew to despise it, and everyone was like talking about how great it was, and I don't get it, man. Like it's very generic. I think sure, like the environment's pretty, but that only carries me so far. Like I thought all the characters were boring. I thought it was just the story was kind of lame and uninspired. I just was not too into it. And then I'm like I don't understand because it made zero cultural impact at all, and it's like come on.
No, okay. So like I've heard the cultural impact thing before, where it's like, what's that guy's name? Like, what's the lead character's name? No one knows the lead character's name. That movie made almost $2 billion. Like, I totally understand that comment, but at the same time, like, dude, when I was in college and people were just starting to get PlayStation 3s, they all had 2 Blu-rays. They had Planet Earth, the BBC version with Rowan Atkinson doing the VO, and they had Avatar. Like that would be like if Batman, the Michael Keaton movie, came out the same day as VHS tapes, and it's just like that was the VHS tape you got. And so it was like for all the shit it's easy to give to Avatar, and it is very easy to give it a lot of shit. I'm not denying that at all. Like there's so few ubiquitous pop culture moments, and Avatar is absolutely one of them, where it was a shared experience that everyone has at least heard of Avatar. And like when was the last time that happened? Like even Avengers had like people being anti-Avengers, but like
Sure.
I feel like everyone went into Avatar with a generally open mind.
Yeah.
Sure. No, I would agree with that.
I think it was just known for its visuals rather than like the movie itself was kind of what that's my opinion at least. I mean, certainly you would walk into like Best Buy in that era and every single like display TV would literally be on Avatar.
Yeah.
And which I get. I mean, it's a gorgeous movie and was probably the best looking CG movie at that time. But yeah, I think the plot overall, like the actual content of that movie is not, I don't disagree with Seth. It's not exactly a great film in my opinion.
1,000%. But it feels, before Avatar 2 came out, I would have been like, oh, it's like Assassin's Creed 2, right? Where like Assassin's Creed 1, not an awesome game, but Assassin's Creed 2 took what they learned from Assassin's Creed 1 and figured out how to make a more interesting game around it. Whereas like AC1 really feels more like a tech demo, like just to see if they could do it. And I was so excited for Avatar 2 because it looks like, okay, man, they spent all these years like building the technology to make this movie easier to make. So like now that they don't have to invent the shit as they're doing it, I bet this is going to be better. And like it fucking wasn't. I really dislike Avatar 2. And I know I'm actually in like the minority of that, especially in my friend group. But they're like, oh man, that third act battle scene was fucking amazing. I'm like, actually, it's not even in Cameron's like top 3 best choreographed action shits. Like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I appreciate you trying. Also, a bunch of plot holes in the second one. We don't have to get into it. And I saw a whole bunch of shit about Avatar 3 and 4 today that I'm really not looking forward to. But I'm going to see them.
Didn't he confirm them all the way up to 6? Like he's going to make 6 movies?
Yeah.
Yikes. Let's take it easy. Hit the brakes a little bit.
Well, there was an article that came out around the original Avatar. That was like 2009, right? Where it was referred to James Cameron as Hollywood's biggest gamble, but also its safest bet. And like that line has stuck with me for the last 14 years. And that's because like every fucking movie he does where he just tries to figure out a way to show you something you'd never seen before. For better or worse, you'd never seen anything like the first Avatar. You'd never seen anything like Titanic. I'd say True Lies, but that was just like a really good spy movie. I don't know. how much that extends to. And then he took like this, really subtle horror masterpiece from Alien and then turned it into a war movie and like made it compelling while also completely disregarding everything that made the first movie special and figured out a new way to make everything special. So like I think the dude is really impressive. I think he has a talent. The Abyss is also fucking awesome, even though Ed Harris almost died like 9 different times filming that. I think he's really talented. I'm always going to give him a shot. And worst comes to worst, it's like, oh, I just lost 3 hours. I've lost 3 hours doing way dumber shit than seeing a James Cameron movie.
Which I will say clearly a lot of people feel that way because Avatar 2, the box office was like over 2 billion or something. Like it still was like one of the highest grossing movies of the past 10 years, which is insane because frankly, at least among my friend group, nobody talked about that movie.
No, I didn't know anybody that watched it.
I haven't seen it still.
All the boomers went and saw it. How's that make you feel, George, you oldie?
Yeah, just me and my friends from bingo, and we ate our jujubes at the movie theater.
I bet Coach saw it 3 times.
I bet he did. He's probably watching it right now. That's probably why he's not here.
Yep.
Really quick, final thing I've been playing. I've been spending more time on my PS3 just because I fucking love it. Ratchet and Clank All for One. That game is the multiplayer focused one that like I'm playing through it on single player, and that game is fucking awesome. I can't believe it didn't make more of a splash back when it came out. If it's on PS Plus streaming, you can play it through basically all of it by yourself. Like I can't recommend it enough. It's also just like a really good co-op game, and so I use that as a segue because we got a question from Alden. He says, George, I just finished getting the plat for the Saboteur on PlayStation 3. I had started it way back in like 2014 or 2015. Not just trying to copy you. Did that journey to the plat make you temporarily reevaluate what you're doing in life? Because that game kind of broke me for a bit because of its quirks. Absolutely. I got that platinum 2 years ago, 10 years after starting that game for the first time. And I tried to revisit that game. I was like, I'll just pick up where I left off. And I was like, fucking no, I won't. I'm going to start the game over again. That game was really good. It was like a pandemic open world shooter, kind of like Grand Theft Auto, set in like World War II occupied Paris. And this is the game where like, oh, it's all black and white and it's run by Nazis, and so like all you see is like shadows and light and like the red of like the swastika or whatever. And then you blow up like a Nazi munitions dump and kill 13 Nazis in this area, and all of a sudden like color would return and people would start walking the streets and there would be happiness and stuff. Really like killer idea for a game. But by the end of it, man, you had to like blow up every piece of Nazi paraphernalia that existed on the map, and it didn't matter how banal it was. Like I killed every Nazi, that was great, felt very cathartic, very therapeutic, but I had to blow up like a Nazi sandbag thing on top of a roof, and it's like, all right, like Nazis are bad people, but they don't grow from sandbags. Like that's not where they come from. Like, can we leave this one alone? Can we leave it up in case the Nazis come back and use it to fight them? So it got real fucking tedious at the end. But overall, I really liked it, and I'm glad I went back to get that platinum. And I'm gonna try to platinum a PS3 game a month going forward, just because.
Nice.
That's when my backlog started. I don't know about you guys.
No,
what
for
a
sure.
Special era, dude. I think that's my favorite era of PlayStation is the PS3. I love the PS3 so much, man. And Sony's underdog victory, right? Where their backs were against the wall and they just like started swinging. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love that Sony era. So, all right. As for me, I've been playing a few games this past couple weeks. I feel like I'm losing the fight with time, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I just, man, I'm getting frustrated because I feel like I never have enough time to do anything that I want.
Yeah.
And
I'm confused. I thought you were really good at fighting.
I know, it's a surprise.
You can't fight Father Time. Father Time's winning. What's?
Yeah, I'm fucking drowning over here because there's so much like chores and housework that needs done, and I want to play games so bad, but I'm lucky if I'm putting in like a couple hours a week, and it's driving me crazy. That being said, I did finish Trails in the Sky the Third, which phenomenal, great game, really enjoyed it. I gotta say, I need to eat my words a little bit because a couple years ago, I came on the podcast and I was like, I can't recommend Trails of Cold Steel. It's pretty lame, pretty slow, pretty boring. And then I continued to play them, right? would have sang a different tune had I played the first 6 games in the series.
How many hundreds of hours are we talking for those?
How many hundreds of hours for like the whole series?
For the first 6 that you need to play for
Trails of Cold Steel. You're probably looking at let's just say like 100 for the first 2, like 70 for the third, and then probably like a combined 60 for the next 2. So
okay,
yeah,
that's actually
good.
Not awful.
350 hours or so, but like it's you have to view the Legend of Heroes series more like a television show, I think, where like it's continuing to build, it's continuing to tell like a long form story, and it's just constantly building up the world and the characters and whatnot, and it's really rewarding, man, and I'm really enjoying it. So I immediately jumped into the next one, which a lot of people think like there's a duology here. Trails from Zero and then Trails from Azure. And pretty good so far. Really enjoying it. The other game I played a little bit this past week was Lethal Company with a few guys from work. Big fan. Let me tell you what, this is a special game, and I wish I had more people that consistently played it, because it is very much this game's not going to stick around for a long time. I think this is going to be very much like a Fall Guys, Among Us type situation where people play this game a lot for like a year and then it probably disappears. But it's very new, very interesting. And if you guys or people that are listening don't know, it's essentially just a scrapping game, a game about scrapping. You go to these different planets and you pick up this scrap metal for this company. But on these different planets, there's these different entities that will attack you in different ways. And you have to survive and get the stuff back to the ship and, deliver it. But there's all kinds of weird stuff that makes it like way harder. There's no maps, right? It's proximity chat. So
that's interesting.
There's a map back at the ship, so that if you buy the radios, you can talk on the radios and someone can watch the map while the other people are running around in these dark hallways. And there's entities like spiders, dogs that are blind, that if they hear you talking, they'll come after you and try and kill you. There's like spring heads that work like the crying angels from Doctor Who. That's what they're called, right? Like the weeping angels or whatever, where if you look away, they come at you. Mm-hmm. All kinds of really interesting entities. And the environments are like the inside of these buildings, these hallways, they're all dark, they're procedurally generated, really interesting. But with the game's it's really fun because, naturally while you're exploring these planets, your buddies will like drift off a little bit.
Yeah.
And they'll be in the distance, and then you just hear something like, "Oh fuck!" and then their voice chat goes silent, right? And you're like, "Oh my god!"
So you guys have been like purposely using the in-game chat then?
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it, because it's the game is built that way. It's like people used the Discord chats for Among Us, right? But then like they would cheat, because you would be in a party of like 2 or 3, and you would know the people in your Discord chat weren't the invader or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is a really cool game. There's a lot of really unique concepts, like the ship stuff, and the one time me and my buddy were in the ship watching the map, watching our other buddy. We were navigating him back to the ship, but I didn't realize the doors to the ship opened up after 30 minutes. They're on a timer, or 30 seconds, I think it is. So I'm talking to my buddy in the ship, and all of a sudden I just get iced and die. And I'm like, what happened? Well, it was because I was talking, and one of those blind dogs heard me, ran into the ship, and killed me. Right inside the ship. It was pretty cool. Really, really liking Lethal Company. And then I played this other game that has been generating a lot of hype called SCP 5K. Terrible. Absolutely bug-ridden piece of junk. I love the SCP like internet like, Vortex. And I think
It's what Control was pretty much based on.
Yeah, exactly. Control was pretty much based on it. Control did it better, but the SCP stuff is like really interesting. So me and my buddies got this game, and it's a buggy, incomplete mess. Now it isn't it's an early access, but it's too early to be even charging for it. So
Wow.
yeah, I really recommend you guys get into Lethal Company. Lethal Company is ball of fun.
I'll have to
Toss
look
around
it
with
up.
buddies.
I need to see if my PC can run it. I also want to play at some point. Have you ever played Phasmophobia? That like co-op horror game that everybody talks about?
No, I never played it just because I think fighting ghosts by taking pictures of them is lame. I prefer to just hit them.
Fists. You need fists? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know wasn't Elijah really into that?
Yeah, Elijah
Mhm.
loves that game. It's really popular. But I have not tried it yet.
Like, assuming ghosts are real, right?
They're obviously real. Yeah.
Okay. So
We have
Has
one on
anyone
this
ever just-
podcast. He shows
Has
up once
anyone
every
ever-
4 months.
Has anyone ever just tried to just get out of my house, ghost?
I'm
Like
sure.
a bug net. They like
Yeah, it's like, come and get some, dude. Like, are we doing this or not? You be flickering my lights and throwing stuff around. Like step up and get dropped.
The reason I think ghosts are real is I feel like every culture has a ghost story. Right? Like there's no
that's true.
like civilization that hasn't like at least thought of the concept of a ghost, and like I just don't know how creative people used to be. I assume pretty creative because like I bet they were really fucking bored. But like that had to come from somewhere, right? And so it's the same thing. Like I think like dumplings are the universal food because every different culture has like, okay, in Japan they have gyoza, in China they have dumplings, in fucking Poland they have pierogi, in England they have pasties. Like every culture figured out how to wrap meat with dough and then cook it to make it fucking delicious and perfect. So like if every culture came to that same conclusion, the fact that like every culture has ghost stories, I feel like they also came to the same conclusion that ghosts are real.
That makes sense. Dumplings and ghost stories, two universal concepts.
Hand in hand. Yeah.
You think?
Go ahead, Seth.
Do you think that maybe I've never been haunted because these motherfuckers are like in the corner of my room, like talking to each other, being like, "You spook that guy. I don't want to do that." Yeah. Because they, they're just watching me like shadow box in the garage.
I don't want that heat.
Yeah, ghosts, get out of here.
Just quickly here, Alden in the chat asks, "Are you guys still planning on doing a spoiler cast for Spider-Man 2?" Probably not, if I had to guess.
Yeah,
probably not.
Won't. I assume next week. Like at this point,
Okay.
we're half waiting for me to finish the game. I'm very close to finishing it. We're also half waiting for Coach to show up to an episode. So I think I'm gonna finish it before Coach shows up. But also, I don't know, man. We talked about doing a spoiler cast for Jedi Survivor. That game came out in May. I don't know.
I think I'm the only person that finished it. No, Austin, you finished it, right?
No, I didn't really play much of that game at all.
Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished it.
Okay. Here's a spoiler. It's awesome. Play it.
It's fucking good.
Yeah, dude.
That's a game that has 100 gigabytes on my PS5, and I'm like, all right, I should platinum this so I can delete that and get that 100 GBs back.
I think I uninstalled it for that reason. I'm pretty sure I did. I need to go back to it though. Now that I know they released like a big patch like a month or two ago that's like finally makes it a solid 60 frames. So I need to go back to it and try it. But
yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, on that note, I don't even know where we were, dude. I have no idea where we were at. But the Game Awards of this past week. Did you guys follow any of the announcements?
Monster Hunter.
Yeah. I hate the name. What is it? Monster Hunter
Wilds?
Yeah.
Wilds. Yeah.
Wilds.
Stop saying that, dude. Stop. I'm so tired of Wilds. I feel like we got so many Wilds games. I feel like none of them were good.
Why does it need to be plural? Like they could have
Yeah.
named it Monster Hunter Wild, and that would have made sense because it's monsters. But like wilds,
Yeah.
Why?
Just
Monster
bragging at this
Hunter
point.
in the wild, How about Monster Hunter Worlds too? Because that's what it looked like. Come on. That's what I felt. I was like,
Well,
all right,
the first one was Monster Hunter World. So what if they named it Monster Hunter Worlds?
Monster Hunter Solar System.
Monster Hunters.
Yeah, Monster Hunters.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, that is the most logical sequel is Monster Hunters.
That's like the
I'll tell you
only
straight
thing
up,
though that I was excited for.
There was that game. There was a few games showed off that I thought was like pretty impressive. The first one that I thought was really cool was Exodus. That game looks dope. Wizards of the Coast published. Skeptical. I'm watching this be like, this is awesome, right? Mood immediately flips when I see the Wizards of the Coast logo at the end. I'm like, where's the monetization? What are you gonna sell me on?
And that they just like fired 1,100 people. Hasbro did, like their parent company. So it's like, place is a fucking mess right now.
Yeah, well, I feel like Wizards of the Coast has been kind of a mess for like the last 5 years. Like, when did the fun Wizards of the Coast go away? 15 years ago, maybe a decade ago.
The fun Wizards of the Coast, because like the last I think like truly great Magic the Gathering set was probably Khans of Tarkir, which was like 2014, 2015 ish. That was when they brought Fetchlands back and kind of fucked up their game, to be honest. But it was fun, is the point. And then after that, they kind of figured out how to, like, obviously, card games always kind of like a gotcha mechanic, right? That's the nature of it. But man, they fucking dialed it up to 11 after that. Because that was when they started doing, like, the set called Modern Masters, which was, like, just reprints of, like, the most expensive cards. And they stopped charging $3.99, which was standard at the time. They started charging $7.99. And then the second set came out, and they started charging $9.99. And then after that, they actually got rid of MSRP and just let stores set the price for however much they wanted to charge for them. And like that's like where we are now with Magic the Gathering, which is why I stopped fucking buying Magic the Gathering. I like can't do it anymore, man. It's there's too much product. They just drown everything. They're like, we need to squeeze every possible cent that a customer could have at all fucking times, and it's just disgusting.
That's my feeling with D&D as well. They've done the same thing to D&D, and dude, like the miniature figures for D&D, the price they charge for them is abhorrent. It's like disgusting. And like, I don't know, man, the whole book situation and they just strike me as like a company that's just like trying to squeeze you dry, right? Really milk you. And I'm not a fan of it. And also, so I don't know, but that Exodus game does look real good. Getting Matthew McConaughey in there. All right. I mean, like, yeah, he was like the main character in Interstellar. So, like, in the game does give off strong Interstellar vibes, but like, do we really need to play off that hard? You know, whatever.
I'll say, admittedly, sorry to go back to what I said earlier. I said I was only excited for Monster Hunter, but looking through the list of announcements, there were actually more games announced here than I remember, to be honest.
Yeah, there was quite a few like solid announcements at the Game Awards.
How do you feel about the new Dragon Ball game?
Weird. I feel weird about it. And here's why.
It's like the Budokai kind of series again.
Yeah, why didn't they just call it Budokai too? Not Budokai number 2, but Budokai as well. Why didn't they just call it that?
Because in Japan, the Budokai games were called Sparking.
Oh.
So that's why they changed the name. Yeah, they changed the name from Budokai 4 to the Sparking game. I feel weird because they're still supporting Xenoverse 2. And they've been supporting Xenoverse 2 for a long time. And now, granted, it's time. Xenoverse 2 looks old. Yeah, it looks old, and I don't know. And they're also like they released a lot of DLC for Kakarot, which is great. And we have Fighters that came out, and that Fighters is like a really great fighting game. So you're gonna ask people to let go of Xenoverse 2, move on to this new game, which is, let's be honest, a different age. This game is not going to have a full roster. It's probably not going to have all the characters they liked in Budokai or Xenoverse 2. And you're gonna ask them to repay for the characters that they probably just bought because they keep Xenoverse 2 probably has close to 200 characters at this point, and it's like,
yeah,
wow,
that game came out like 7-8 years ago at this point, at least.
Well, it's the same problem with Smash Brothers, right? Where it's just like there's how many people in like Smash Brothers Ultimate like think you can just sell people a fucking new one and make them buy all these characters again?
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't seen anything in it that makes me feel like it's like this groundbreaking Dragon Ball game. And I'll be honest, I do not need to play through the Dragon Ball story again. I can't do it, dude. I've done it so many times. I just cannot do it anymore.
That's every single game they release. It's always the same.
Yeah.
Why?
And Kakarot pretty much broke me. I was like skipping through cutscenes in Kakarot and stuff because I'm like, I don't care. I know what this is.
I know.
Yeah. like I'm not some amateur over here. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay looks solid. It looks pretty cool. The new Legend of Mana game, though, whoa,
Gorgeous,
hot
gorgeous,
dog, dude. Absolute ball franks hot dog. I am in, buddy.
Is that your favorite announcement?
I think so. Dude, because I may have liked the Rebirth stuff more, but turned it off, looked away. Right? I don't want to see any more Rebirth. Right? I'm already in. Square Enix, bad habit of like showing off their big portions of their games.
Say less. Yeah.
Yeah. Just hey, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. You guys don't need to promote it. It's there. Yeah. It's also the second part.
It's funny. I've been listening to a lot, like just out of podcast, listening to like old Beyonds, and it's like Colin just saying like, all you have to do is just remake Final Fantasy VII, and it's just amazing. It's like, all right, cool. And like 11 years later,
yeah,
like
yeah, Square Enix, they're starting to get their feet back under them a little bit, but for like a decade, they've just been like a laughing stock of just bad decisions. And it's crazy because we were just talking about this because Coach was asking about Final Fantasy 15, and dude, they were this close to getting it, to nailing Final Fantasy 15.
Absolutely.
With the deal, and like they canceled the DLC that was gonna take it the rest of the way. They were so close. You guys already spent a decade working on it. Why didn't you just cross the finish line? Whatever. I don't know, man. I spent an unlimited amount of hours talking about Final Fantasy 15, but
well,
man,
I will say though, on that topic, just while we're on it, the 16 DLC was shown off. Part one is out. I know
you bought it. Did you play it yet, Austin?
Not very much, to be honest. I jumped into it, but was like, I need to hold off on this until I'm ready for it.
Also, really quick, $24.99 for the season pass, $9.99 for this DLC. Kind of love that pricing. That feels like 2012 pricing for DLC.
Sweet spot. Yeah. A good sweet spot. Yeah.
Now, admittedly, I think the first one, from my understanding, is only about 3 to 4 hours long, so it's not like a crazy length. But I'd still say $10 for that is worth it. In my opinion,
I'm okay with that length, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a movie ticket. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You drop me 3 to 4 hour content patches of Final Fantasy 16 every quarter.
Yeah.
I'm in there, dude. Like, I will be there every single time. If you give me like quality boss fights and story beats, 3 to 4 hours, I'm totally cool with that, dude.
Yeah.
Totally cool.
So part 2, which obviously is not out yet, I think Yoshi P said something the other day about how it's going to be about 10 hours. So that's like a pretty significant expansion.
Okay, so that was the director of Final Fantasy 16?
Mm-hmm. Producer.
Also the director of Final Fantasy 14?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When does that man sleep?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's an absolute workhorse.
I'm excited to see what happens though, because just for context, both of these DLCs are spliced into the main story right before the final sequence. So it's not post-game content. It's like, essentially, I'm assuming at some point they'll release like a complete edition of the game. This will just be kind of part of the main story, essentially.
So I haven't finished the main story of Final Fantasy 16 yet, so
perfect.
This is perfect timing. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's one of my biggest gaming pet peeves is when companies release content in the middle of the campaign, because I'm like,
I don't disagree.
I gotta go back to this weird time, and I already know what happens at the end of this. And it's like,
well, that was a tough part with Mass Effect 3 releasing like the Citadel shit, because it's like, I mean, the story could have gone one way where like, post game DLC doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, you know. But I don't know. Also, just happy to get it too. Like, I hope there's a way to just launch into it directly. Yeah, there's got to be, right?
I just want like a battle mode in Final Fantasy 16. That's what I want, dude. That combat's so good, and like especially with the icons or whatever they called them in 16, it's so good. Give me a mode where I can just jump in there and just have some fun. You know, that's what I want.
That's true. There should be like a boss rush mode or something like that. That'd be a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Let me fight Kupka 17 times in one day.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Man,
and then,
really quick. My favorite announcement, that Sega remake section.
Yeah, what the heck was that? That's crazy. I know.
I don't know. They're saying all the fucking right things to me where they're like, we kind of just want to go back to our Dreamcast days and be fucking weird. I'm like, yeah. Say more. Okay, we got Shinobi, Golden Axe, Crazy Taxi, Streets of Rage, and Jet Set Radio remixes. Okay.
yeah.
All right. You're saying some right things. Now where's fucking Seaman? Where's a little choo choo rocket?
Where's Sonic Adventure 3? Okay,
Where's
that's what
Blue
I need to know.
Stinger? Yeah, where's all this weird shit from back in the day that I remember seeing at Toys R Us being like, oh man, I wish I were mature so I could play this game. It's like, no, that actually wasn't the problem. The problem was that even my mom knew to not buy me a Sega Dreamcast because she's like, no, I read in Business Journal that it's not doing well. So like that part made me so fucking excited. Like just
Dude, the Shinobi game looks like gorgeous.
Looks great, right? It
Yeah.
looks great, and like this, Golden Axe might be fun for the first time in its history ever.
Yeah.
I'm very looking forward to that.
Dude, that's funny because I so agree that Golden Axe was never fun. and
It's
people
never
are
been
like,
good.
No,
Fucking sucks.
I tried
the
to
only
love
reason-
Golden Axe so much.
The only reason people say they like Golden Axe is because somewhere Golden Axe is holding their child hostage, and if you
Yeah.
don't say nice things about Golden Axe, they will kill their child. Like that's the only logical explanation for why someone would like Golden Axe.
Well, because like I had that, I don't know how you guys played it, but I had that 6-pack Sega Genesis set, and Golden Axe was on there, and I think
Streets of Rage, probably.
yeah, Streets of Rage was on there, and I forget what else, but I remember I always tried to like Golden Axe, and I'm like, no, this game
Rise
sucks.
from your
Yeah.
grave. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's stupid.
That happened. We saw my favorite fake trailer for a game that doesn't exist. We saw Marvel's Blade too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What is up with that?
That's from Arcane Leon, right? Like the
Yep.
Deathloop
the
people.
guys who did Dishonored.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game's not coming out for 5
Blade?
years.
Blade, really? I don't know.
I'm open to it.
I've never
I like
been
it.
excited for Blade except when
There's-
Wesley Snipes was
That's
playing
the
it.
thing. That's the thing. There's no attachment to the character, right? Like it's not like a movie tie-in, especially because like that movie. I don't think Mahershala Ali is supposed to be in it anymore. Like the movie took too long to get off the ground. It went through so many rewrites, so many like director shifts. So that movie's a fucking mess. So it's not a tie-in. It's just like, okay, what if we took the concept of Vampire and Daywalker and actually tried to make the best game we could about it?
Yeah.
So the fact that it's not tied into any kind of outside expectations, any kind of outside development influence, I'm thrilled about it. I also just, with the same thing when we saw that trailer for Wolverine, I'm like, okay, this game is like fucking an idea at this point. Like this trailer is probably the most
Well,
that exists about this.
Dude, knowing how long it took them with Deathloop, I'm sure that game is ages away.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while. But yeah, I mean, I think just knowing Arcane and what they've done in the past, I think it makes sense.
Mhm.
What they could do with that character. Although when they said it was third person, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that,
Weird,
but we'll
right?
see. Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
I'm not an Arcane guy. I've come to realize that. I really tried to like the Dishonored games because it reminded me of BioShock in a BioShockless era. And I wasn't into it. And then I never played Deathloop because I heard Deathloop wasn't very good. But then I heard Deathloop was good.
I loved it.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it is good. It's just not. It's not the first time you play BioShock. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any game that makes me lose progress, I don't like, you know.
Yeah. I hear you.
Not a big fan of roguelikes. So all right. Anything else from the show that
Just the only other thing I'll say is the Herald of Darkness performance from the old Gods of Asgard with Sam Lake on stage. Excellent. So
turned it
glad
off.
they were able to do that. Yeah.
I turned it off because
Good.
I took a break from Alan Wake and I was like, I don't want to. I know this is probably going to be in the game, so
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I'm glad you did that because it's a great sequence in the game.
Yeah.
Great sequence.
yeah.
We got
Baldur's Gate 3 dethrones Legend of Zelda. Didn't
Yeah.
see it coming, dude. Honestly, deserved
Right.
it. Did not see it coming.
I saw it coming.
Saw it coming. Are you kidding me?
I can't believe Mario Wonder was nominated, to be completely honest. Like that slot should have been Final Fantasy 16, I think, or Starfield. like one of those two games.
And
Just because like ambition should matter. No offense, Nintendo. Like you're masters of your craft, but like you didn't fundamentally do anything that different than what you've done in the past. Whereas Starfield tried to do something new. Final Fantasy 16, I feel like tried to do something new, but I have limited experience with Final Fantasy, so feel free to correct me if it didn't try to do anything new. But like, or if they're just masters of their craft.
Final Fantasy tried to do something new by getting you like
a good Final
absolutely
Fantasy game.
melt your brain during boss fights and like blow the roof off of your house out of excitement. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that Final Fantasy 16 did that was new.
not a single award for Spider-Man 2, by the way, when it was up for like 8 or 9 nominations, which is interesting. But
Dude, here's the thing though, right? Like, I think that any other year, Spider-Man 2 cleans house. But in a year that was filled with absolute like hard bangers, as hard as you can imagine, Spider-Man 2 didn't like overwhelm in any specific category.
Yeah.
You know, it was a great game, but in every category, it was like just great. Whereas like you think about like the music and like the boss fights of Final Fantasy 16, right? Like it's far above Spider-Man 2. And like the personality and depth of like Baldur's Gate 3, and it's like, you know, it's just Spider-Man 2 would have cleaned house any other year, I think. It's just this wasn't the year that they should have been around.
I don't disagree with you. So
Also, most importantly, February 16th, 2024, we got a release date for Skull and Bones. That's exciting, right?
that'll be
I'll
delayed.
believe it when I see it, dude.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Same. Also,
what do you think happened? Like that game comes out and clearly flops, I think. So what happens then? I
don't know, because like
that studio gets shut down immediately.
Rainbow Six came out and they just kept working on it, and this feels like that, except they didn't let anyone touch it before they started working on it.
Yeah.
You know, like they're just like, oh fuck, we gotta fix this before we ship it.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like the pirate stuff was good in Odyssey, right? Like the ship combat was good. So I'm also like, you guys like you're probably overthinking this. Like you don't need to do too much. Like just come up with context for why you're in ship battles, and I think that's pretty much all people wanted 5 years ago when you announced this game, and it's hard to say what they want now. Was it longer than that?
I thought it was like 10, dude.
Dude, it's been ages.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so sure Skull and Bones was announced like right after Assassin's Creed 4. I'm so sure.
No, it says here 2017.
E3 2017, so it's been 6.5 years, I guess.
Okay, my bad. 6 years.
Ages.
Sorry, guys. I'm fucking sorry. E3 2017. We're not gonna be able to see an E3 2024 announcement for anything.
No, because latest update. E3 is dead, dude.
That is a doornail.
Yeah, dude. I can't believe it took them this long, right? I mean, it's been done for a while.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't announce this last year, honestly, after everybody pulled out. I mean, was there like anybody at E3 last year? I know there were a few like smaller companies. But
they didn't even have it, did they?
I thought they did, but I could be wrong.
I don't think they did.
I mean, E3 is just so expensive for a company. So it's like, okay, I understand like the branding of E3 resonates with people, but like, why would EA pay hundreds of thousands, if not more than that, just for the opportunity to talk under a branded event?
Yeah.
When like they're fucking EA. Like Battlefield means something. They have Star Wars games. Same with Nintendo, same with PlayStation. And I miss like the decentralization of video game announcements. I do. Like it was always really exciting like that week, because it was usually like around the time basketball ended, at least for my team. It'd get knocked out of the playoffs. And so it was like something to look forward to, where it's just like a week of just like the nerdiest shit, you know, like just the most exciting shit. And like that's great, but like I feel like we unfortunately have just moved beyond that at this point, where like now it's just spread out over the summer. Microsoft will take June, Ubisoft will do early July, Sony will do late August. You know, like it's just it's not the same, but it's fundamentally the same, as much of a bummer as that is. But like Jeff Keighley is also like, I assume that's still happening next June. It's just not going to be called E3, right?
Summer Games Fest.
By
Here's
the
the
way,
thing, I don't like-
just to say, they did cancel it this year. There were so many people pulled out that they were just like, oh, never
Yeah.
mind. So
That's what I thought.
they haven't done a physical one since 2019.
Yeah, so just I think they were gonna die anyway, but COVID really just like popped them twice in the back because then they couldn't have people there, and it's like I think that I like Summer Games Fest. My problem with the way Keeley does his announcements, and I felt this way about the Game Awards as well, is that he treats every announcement like they're equal, and a lot of times I'm like, I don't care about this. Let's stop doing this. Also, just wanted to say this real quick. The OD announcement from Kojima, back off. All right. Take it easy. Take it easy, dude. He's so you guys already know this. I'm not a Kojima guy. I think the Kojima hype is overblown. He's so full of himself, dude. Can't take it. Can't take it. Pretentious motherfucker. Can't take it.
Sure. Yeah.
Here's just my comment on that. The fact that segment was like 10 minutes long and everybody else had a 15-second speech is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but at the same time, like those announcements pay for this shit to happen.
Sure.
Which is the disappointing part. Like I understand that modern art, consumer art is like the meeting place of creativity and commerce. I get that.
Yeah.
But just fucking man, like, can you just pretend it's a little bit more about creativity once in a while? Like, because we do it, we know it's about commerce when it's like the fucking NPDs come out. Like, we know that's about commerce. Like, maybe every once in a while we can just pretend it's about the art.
I agree. But yeah, so how do you guys feel about E3 just done now?
It's sad to me because, like, I gotta be honest, I'm not a big fan of Summer Games Fest. I think primarily the reason for that is I like the fact that with E3, it was a situation where you knew you had these 5 days and the biggest announcements of the year were all going to come in those 5 days. There's just excitement about that. I think the problem I have with Summer Games Fest now is everything's so spread out. And it's not just Keeley. It's, Nintendo and Xbox and Sony all having their own respective events like spread throughout the summer. On one hand, it's nice to have it all spread out, but at the other hand, the excitement behind all of that in a single week, it's just never going to be there again. There was something about waking up and being like, oh, certainly when I was younger, when it was like I was in high school and I was on summer break, certainly waking up in the first or second week of June and going, oh, this is E3 week. I'm going to watch these 3 conferences straight for 7 hours today. Tomorrow I'm going to watch these 2 conferences. The next day I'm going to watch these 2 conferences. There's just some excitement to that I feel like
day after that, I'm going to go to GameStop and pre-order 2 of the things I saw that I can afford. Yeah.
Right. I feel like the excitement for these events just is not the same, at least for me. I'm sure that other people probably feel otherwise, but it's definitely more dull, in my opinion, compared to how it used to be, 10 years ago. I think really like the PS3 era was when it really shined, in my opinion.
It's like the dude from the Ahsoka show where he's like, I miss the idea of it, but not the weakness. Like, the last few E3s were pretty rough, I think.
For sure. It's tough.
Yeah.
Like, I've been taking a break from Twitter lately. Like, haven't really been on in the last 2 weeks. It's been fucking awesome, to be honest.
Yeah, dude.
But I realize I kind of just use it as like a public journal at this point where I just kind of talk about what I'm doing and I don't really use it for how it was intended to. And man, I used to love Twitter and I would argue with people. And then I realized how fucking empty it made me feel to argue with people. So I just kind of like stopped paying attention to it. And now like I never thought I could quit Twitter. Now I'm like, yeah, I could probably delete it and I'd be okay. The same thing with E3 where it's like, I just can't imagine a world where it's not the way it was, right? With all 3. And like the second I stopped caring about who won E3, I feel like that was when E3 started to go downhill. Because it used to be so much fun to be like, well, Nintendo had the best conference, but the Wii sucks. Like just all these like minute granular conversations you could have where like, Infamous 2, I know they talked about it and it already released like 2 weeks ago. But man, that trailer was cool. And like, I'm definitely picking it up now. Like there was all these conversations that would stem out of just like people basically predicting what would make someone shit their pants with excitement. And just like either seeing them be 100% right or just completely misjudge the fucking room, which was like a level of like cringe apathy that like I loved, you know, just like
Yes.
watching Microsoft think they hit a home run when they had like those weird dancers or whatever, Ubisoft, whoever had like those weird aerial dancers. It was like, oh man, you guys had the fucking wrong idea of cool this year. I don't know what to tell you.
Dude,
And then like being able to compare them, and like now that you can't compare them, there's no fucking point to E3. Like as exciting as it is, you're 1,000% right. All this shit happening in a week is so incredible. But the fact that I can't be like, well, fuck, Activision really wiped the floor with EA or Ubisoft. Oh man, it looks like rough waters ahead for them. It's PlayStation just kicked Microsoft's ass, but don't count out Intel. Like the fact that you don't have that conversation anymore. As soon as I stopped caring about those arguments, E3 was not the same for me.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget just how awful the Ubisoft conferences were. Right,
They were
Like,
always bad. Always bad.
oh my god, you guys remember the laser tag one or whatever
Yes.
it was? They were like running around the audience, be like, pew pew.
And it's they would always pull in like Aisha Tyler, who I fucking love Aisha
Yeah.
Tyler. And it's like, I feel so bad for you. Like I feel like you're stepping into like more my world than your world right now, and I feel so bad that my world did this to you because you seem great. It's such a bummer. I actually covered an E3 one year. I covered 2014. That was the year of I was covering like the PlayStation conference that year. I covered like Uncharted 4, Arkham Knight. I think Dead Island 2 was like first announced then, and that game just came out this year, which is kind of amazing. Metal Gear Solid 5, I think. But I covered all this shit, and like I was originally not supposed to go to E3 because they didn't have like a pass for me. And then everyone was traveling the night of the conference, so I was the only person writing news articles for the website. And because I wrote like 12 in a row, they were like, "Okay, we need to get this fucking guy into E3." And I ended up like hosting all these people in my apartment who like couldn't get hotels.
That's pretty
For this
sweet.
random website, like these people who I'd never met, and like one of those people was Fabio, who has like since become like one of my all-time best friends. Talk to him every day, kind of deal. So I love E3. I'm always thankful for E3. It's not the same, but thank you for everything you've given us over the years, E3.
I miss all the
Yeah.
funny like moments too, and the cringy moments. You know, the Kevin Butler walking out during that Sony conference is so iconic. And then you've got it wasn't even on stage, but just it was part of that culture, the Shuhei Yoshida and Adam Boyes, here's how you share a game on PlayStation
Right.
video, and it's one of them handing the game to the other, which was excellent. But the cringy like tech mess ups too were always amusing. You had Skyward Sword when that was
Yeah,
announced.
Miyamoto. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, poor bastard.
He was like,
yeah.
everybody, please, can you like turn off your Wi-Fi, because he was trying to use the Wiimote and it just was not. It was not working.
Was
was
it
not
E3
working.
where David Jaffe came out in Sweet Tooth's van for?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Metal? Yeah.
That is so cool. You know, my favorite era of E3 though was definitely the G4 era, because that was so fun, dude. You that week you turned on G4 and there was always like an interview, or you know, they were going in depth on a preview for a trailer for a game or something, and it was nonstop. And they recorded everything, dude. And I was big fan of that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much from like E3 memories that I can think of. I mean, like I said, I just remember every summer, because really when it was in its prime time, I mean, I was still in school, so I had nothing going on in first week or two of June.
It was the summer. You just turn on G4 and just watch it all. And then, if you guys remember, Kind of Funny did sort of a similar thing at GameSpot the first year.
Yeah,
and they never did it again, probably because they were like, "Wow, this sucks. This is exhausting, and this sucks."
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss those days. But all good things come to an end,
That's right.
including this show, because I don't think
just
we
like
have anything
this
else to talk
podcast.
about.
Sadly, though, like you said, though, it was pretty bad the last few years, just for clarity. So
Yeah, dude, I think once the big companies like started pulling out, like it was pretty much done, right? Like even
Well-
going back as far as like Nintendo. Once Nintendo stopped doing conferences, I think
Well,
the whole hype.
that fucking Skyward Sword demo where he had to keep like putting the controller down upside down to get it to recalibrate.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Crazy.
No,
Right.
but like there has like the way you said it though, like the G4 E3s being the best. Like that's the best because it was centralized, right? Because like everything was stemming out of one place. And I remember those E3s, man. Like that was the first time I saw Gears of War ever was like on TV, which is like fucking nuts to think about, right? That like on a cable TV show, you saw Gears of War for the first time. You saw Assassin's Creed for the first time. I saw Knights of the Old Republic 2 for the first time, you know? All this shit that's like has no place on any kind of legacy media anymore. And it's just like insane how not just important it was, but how total it was, you know? Like, yeah, man, that was the only TV channel I watched for a week every June in high school. It's fucking insane that like now I just have Wario 64 notifications on my phone. You know, like that's all I do now. That's how I get 90% of my news.
Is that a guy or is that like automated? Because
It's a guy.
He's so good.
It's a guy, and he gets paid for a lot of the things that he advertises. And so
He's good.
he actually has a fucking insane net worth. Just like I've had friends who still work in the games industry, and they've told me that like they've tried to like get to the bottom of that, and they're just like, oh, he makes so much money. I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
I believe it. I mean, those are all basically like affiliate links, right? So like if there's a JRPG that comes out for $14.99 and 1,000 people buy it.
Or if he's like, hey, this amiibo is up right now on Amazon, you can go buy it. All the hundreds of people that are going to go buy that, he's going to get a cut. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what else is crazy? This podcast ending. Gentlemen, I think it's that time. You guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I love you. I love both of you.
I don't have anything.
Me either. So I think it's time. I don't know how to end this now. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for listening. See you later.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Frameskip. Don't forget you can find the show on social media at FrameSkipPod. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow us each individually on Twitter. George is at Shortbox Summary, Seth is at Seth the 90s Kid, and I, Austin Eller, am at Austin J. Eller on Twitter. If you've got a question, comment, or topic you'd like to hear discussed on the next episode of Frameskip, you can do so by submitting it to us on social media. Email us at frameskippodcast@gmail.com or visit bit.ly/frameskipq. That's bit.ly/frameskipq. The show is typically live on YouTube every week, either on Tuesday or Wednesday. You can find our YouTube channel at bit.ly/frameskiplive. Don't forget to subscribe and be notified when we do go live, typically at about 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.